днеска машини ще станем свидетели на някакъв дрон, който ще промени всичко. Дайте да видим.
I got my finger making lunch, so I placed an order for some band-aids a couple minutes ago, and now they're 4 seconds away.
4 sec.
That is a nearly silent drone system that can deliver a package from the sky right to my backyard in as little as 2 minutes with dinner plate accuracy. And as far as I'm concerned, that's basically teleportation. Catapulting life-saving blood through the skies is what they've already been doing for over 6 years, which is why we need to head out to Rwanda to understand where this all started. And immediately after showing up, we were right in the thick of it as drones were taking off and landing. Here's a crash course on how it all works. It all starts with an order coming in from a doctor at a hospital. Say, for example, for an emergency supply of blood. Then once it's all packed up, it gets passed out to be placed in the belly of the drone, and then the whole thing is placed on the launcher. At that point, they attach the wings, then secure the battery, followed by the nose cone. Then after some pre-flight safety checks, they launch the drone. All within 90 seconds of the order coming in. The catapult launcher takes the drone from 0 to 65 miles an hour in a third of a second. Then once it's in the air, cruising at 70 miles per hour, it navigates its way to the hospital and upon arriving, opens the trap door to drop the package, which lands safely using a parachute. Having now completed the mission, it continues making all its own decisions to autonomously navigate back home from as far away as 150 miles round trip. Then taking inspiration from an aircraft carrier, as the drone approaches, the military-grade GPS broadcasts its position within 1 centimeter, so these two poles know exactly when to swing up at the last possible moment, snagging a hook on the tail with the cable, which safely slows it down. Then once it's settled to a stop, the crew comes in to remove the battery and wings, and it all goes back into rotation. The whole thing is really impressive and incredibly robust, which means it works in pretty much any weather. And because there's no human steering it, it has no issues flying at night. So they run the operation 24 hours a day, which is how in 6 years they've managed to make those 500,000 often life-saving deliveries.
Това за да стане в начина, в който е минало през толкова фейлове. Представете ли с колко такива са щупили, колко неща са потрошили, докато това да работи по начина, по който работи. Вау.
This is Abdul. And what you should know about Abdul is he grew up in Rwanda, not far from where these drones are launching. And while he would eventually go on to do graduate work in robotics, attending both Stanford and Harvard, he got his start in engineering for much more simple means.
I remember that I would make cars from milk boxes that was left over. We would add tires there and use it as a car.
Abdul was orphaned as a child when he lost both of his parents and all 3 of his siblings in the Rwandan genocide, narrowly escaping himself. But he didn't give up on his passion for engineering, and so as he got older, he would go around to all the local hospitals, fixing their MRI machines for free, using knowledge he gained from watching YouTube videos. Abdul was the very first zipline employee in Rwanda, and he really helped to pioneer so many of the systems they have in place today that are now used all over the world. And so in an effort to test those very systems, I wanted to see if it was robust enough that even a total noob like me could send out an order. Oh. We got one. Panic!
Don't worry.
Don't worry. Okay. Gloves, okay. Good enough. This is where the blood is, right?
O positive.
It's O positive.
Yeah.
I feel like I shouldn't be touching this. Stay calm. That's the #1 rule.
Now you scan.
Scan it.
Сканираме го.
Like this.
Ползваме го.
5. Okay.
6 пъти късаме, слагаме го. Залепяме го.
You're saving lives. And once I ring the bell, it's the drone team's problem.
Трябваше да кажеш не ме занимавайте, докато спасявам живота.
And push it here. Out of my way, I'm coming through. The wings. How's that? Battery. Which one do we pick? There's so many.
Гледаме коя е
So after
зарда.
a final check of the drone's condition, a little bit of a look to the right and cough.
Вау.
We had liftoff. I'm a hero!
И нашето приятелче тръгва с кръвта. Мега яко. И някъде някой се нуждае от кръв и това до няколко минути стига там.
And sure enough, a few minutes after arriving, I got a notification for an incoming package. This is wild because we're like 4 hours away on some really windy roads. I got it!
Брат, ти луд ли си? Как?
Close!
Аз не мога да си представя.
And so after opening the package and checking their handiwork, I asked if I could speak to a few of the doctors. When's the last time you delivered a baby?
In few minutes ago.
A few minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty fresh.
For the doctors, it was like a miracle.
With Zipline, we are sure that in 15 to 20 minutes we are going to get what we need, and you are sure that patient will be saved.
But it wasn't just the doctors who were big on Zipline. I also spoke with a handful of patients who, for various different reasons, are all alive today because of a Zipline delivery.
Wow.
Every time when I see the drones around, I just think that someone's life is going to be saved.
And that's
No,
kind
yeah.
of true, because their
No,
drones
the
have reduced in-hospital maternal mortality by 88%. Zipline has 2 launch sites that give them coverage for pretty much anywhere in Rwanda, but they also have operations running in all of these countries. And while they serve 3,000 hospitals globally today, that number will be 10,000 by the end of the year.
Да, ми става много интересно това, което каза в началото, че това нещо стои на 400 метра височина и дропва това. Така че ми е много интересно и чакам така много внимателно и спокойно да разбера повече за тази джиджавка.
I had 2 main questions. One, how loud and disruptive are they? Because the last thing we want are annoying drones buzzing by our rooftops all day. And 2, how safe are they? Because the other last thing we want is for those...
Даже всъщност, често казано, по-важно е сигурността, тъй като аз лично имам белек от дрон, но да, сигурността според мен е на първо място. По-голям проблем ще е това, отколкото звука. Но естествено, двете вървят за ръка за ръка.
I'll just show you my actual reaction to the first time I heard it. I mean, I hear something. I cannot believe that's airborne. Are you serious? And I just wish there was a better way to convey this on video, but here's my best attempt.
Като човек, който има дрон, който не е толкова шумен и също времено е много шумен, като е около тебе. Искам да ви кажа, че това звучи, поне нали слушалки, какъв е там микрофон, който е записал, звучи доста тихо.
You'll first hear a leaf blower, then a typical hobby drone that weighs 1 pound, then their drone that weighs 50 pounds. And of course, I've kept the audio levels completely untouched for all 3.
Между другото, аз имам същия децибелометър.
That is whisper quiet. That is very quiet. That cow is way louder.
Вау, това крава ли беше?
I bet the mic picked up that cow. And this test was incredibly surprising to me because I sort of just assumed the weight of a thing would exactly determine how loud the propellers will end up being to keep that thing in the air. But it turns out that's not actually true even if you just look at nature. Pigeons, for example, sound like this. But with owls, there's an evolutionary pressure to be as quiet as possible, and as a result, their flight sounds like this.
Аз съм се замислял, наистина совите летят супер тихо, брат.
In an effort to try and visualize the secret of their quiet propellers, in this graph, the area under the curve could represent the energy from one of those annoying high-pitched hobby drones, where the closest of these spikes is the high...
Много ме кефи как основата на видеото е за този дрон, но всъщност научихме 20 други неща. Mega яко.
Frequency that's just sort of grating on your ears. So after studying the hummingbird and designing really wild-looking rotors like this, Zipline figured out how to take those spikes and flatten them all out. So while the extra weight means there's still more energy or area under the curve, getting rid of all the spikes means it's much more of a constant whooshing sound, or like white noise that your brain just sort of doesn't register. They use the same quiet propeller approach for their long-range drones, as you can tell from this doctor with an impeccable taste in YouTube content who just wanted to say hi. You've seen my videos now.
Изглежда някакъв супер печали.
Have you seen the planes fly over and deliver the supplies here?
I have not yet seen one come and deposit something here.
That's amazing. There was just 15 deliveries in the last hour.
They're really quiet. If I would have heard it, I would have, gone to see it.
For my second question regarding safety, just like when sending something to Mars, all their critical systems have backups on board. In engineering, we call this redundancy, and they even demonstrated for us how if one propeller stops working, it could still fly due in part to the large back propeller that picks up the slack. And that back propeller is pretty clever, by the way, because it's what propels the drone forward as it moves across town, but then it turns down 90 degrees to help steer and create extra lift while it's stationary and dropping down the droid. In addition to the redundancy, a whole aircraft parachute is is automatically deployed if there is a problem that's sensed, or if the drone just loses power
Тоест това е
altogether.
яко
Because
сейф.
of their
Да.
painstaking
Така трябва да
engineering
бъде.
efforts, it's worth noting in the 6 years they've been operating for those 500,000 flights, they've had exactly 0 incidents causing any injury.
You can take a window from your local pharmacy and turn it into this portal.
So the droid would come
И
down
това
the
да ти
chute,
идва
then some
направо тук да
ASAP
сложи.
items like these would get loaded inside, then it goes back up the chute into the drone
But
and
това е
off for
супер
delivery.
модерно,
For healthcare,
разбира се.
if you were really sick and say on a 15-minute video call with your doctor, by the time the call was ending, your medications could be on your back porch so you don't have to leave your house. You could also imagine how this could
Това е
work
толкова
with a distribution
футуристично
center or a
и
large
явно
retail
също времено
store.
толкова
More than
възможно.
90% of people in the US live within 10 miles of a large retail store, and zipline drones conveniently can make a 10-mile round trip while
За
carrying up to 8 pounds.
секунди,
An
да.
additional win for the planet here is you don't need to use all the cardboard to box it up because it doesn't have to survive being shipped out on a big truck. But this isn't just for big stores. Your favorite local
Идейно,
shop or
идейно.
restaurant can now more easily afford to send a thing to your door, but at an ostensibly much lower cost than a person driving a 3,000-pound car to drop
Доставките
it off.
стават много
And as soon as
по-евтини и
by the
много
end of this
по-бързи.
year, customers such as Sweet Green will start delivering salads straight to your backyard.
Салата искам. Да.
Here you have a
Идеята.
ghoul who bears a scar on his head from the same machete that killed his entire family as a child, not only using his engineering knowledge to save the lives of his people, but more importantly, to inspire the next generation of
Вдъхновението.
problem solvers
Точно
to
така.
dream even bigger. It's the type of
Ево,
thing that leaves you
адско.
feeling a little bit of that contagious Rwandan optimism for the future and the incredible potential of us mere humans.
Вау, много яко. Напред и нагоре. Колко е впечатляващо как технологията, както може и супер много посоки да ни навреди, така може и супер много да ни помогне. Уникално е.